Good evening, everyone. Welcome to Double O Days. Last night, I did a live stream on what is happening within Eskom. And in that live stream, I discussed the problems that got us to where we are. Tonight, in this live stream, I want to welcome all of you. And we will be discussing a very simple 7 point plan that we can implement to stabilize Eskom. This is not to increase the power supply on the grid at all, or the capacity that we have on the grid. It's to increase the reliability and to stabilize what we currently have. And that is the best that we can do at this stage. All the other decisions are based on what government wants to do policy. We would have to change the governance system, change the current government, even change the constitution if we actually want to get to a point where we can fix what is happening in Eskom right now. In the end, people will be forced to go there. We don't have a choice. But people need to feel a lot more pain before we actually get there. So I really want to welcome those of you that are already in this live stream. The numbers are starting to climb now. And if you're joining late, I want you to please go and watch from the beginning of the video. Click the like button so that the YouTube algorithms can see that you like this video, so that they can share this link with more people that can then watch it. So I'm going to be giving you the 7 point plan for Eskom. I'm not going to keep you for long. I hope that this is not going to be much longer than 20 minutes. Yesterday was a full hour, and we've had more than 10,000 views. I think we passed 12,000 views now on yesterday's video, which isn't that great, but it is at least decent. We need a lot more people to watch it. So if you haven't watched yesterday's video, I will link it at the end of this video. And then I want you to go and share that video, watch that video, and share it on your social media platforms. A lot of people asked me yesterday, but what can we do? I'm going to tell you what we do, what we can do today, but you can decide for yourself what you want to do. I'm giving you the facts. You decide what you want to do with those facts and own your actions. Okay, that's very important. But I'll give you some ideas what we can do within Eskom, and then I'll speak to you about what you can do as an individual South African. Thank you for the 200 subscribers in this live stream now. Last night, we got very close to 900 subscribers. And in news and politics, yesterday on YouTube in South Africa, we were #1 with that live stream. So I really want to thank you all for joining in. So just remember, this is open to the public. Anyone can watch this video, can share this video, can put it out there. Only subscribers can comment. So if you can't comment, please subscribe to the channel. And after 5 minutes, you'll be able to comment here. This is just to make sure that we don't have troll issues or any problems like that. So welcome to all of you. And I'm going to get stuck in now. I started mentioning some of these things now. There's a basic 7 points, and in these basic 7 points, I kind of ripped them apart, and they are very simple. But I will talk to each point because each point needs to be broken up into detail, and I'm going to give you that detail tonight. So this is a Eskom stabilization plan, and I have put out similar things in the past. Circumstances were different; they weren't as dire as they are now. I predicted then that what is happening now would happen, that it was inevitable unless they built new base load capacity. Now, base load is the load on the grid. It's not the power generating station. Baseload is large industry that demand large amounts of energy, and you need to be able to supply that baseload power. You cannot do it with intermittent power supplies. You cannot do it with solar unless you add batteries to it. You cannot do it with wind turbines because wind turbines supplies are intermittent. So you cannot do any of the things that the government and Eskom is doing right now without some form of baseload supply station backing it up, which would either be gas turbines running off gas, not off diesel like ours currently do, and with the government not approving the gas pipelines to those stations, Goriqua and Ankerlig. It's a huge death canal. Ask yourself, why will government not approve those pipelines? I know an engineer that actually worked on those pipelines. I know him personally, and he did a lot of work, and he said every time government shut it down. They don't want us to be energy independent, and you need to ask yourself why. Coal, obviously, another baseload supply. You can run those units at 100% power and they can just keep on delivering 100% power all the time. The moment you bring renewables into the grid, now the coal-fired power station needs to start cycling. When they cycle, things break. That's just how it is. They are designed to cycle, the coal-fired power stations, but the extent to which they have to cycle as we increase renewable supplies onto the grid is just exacerbated, and it causes problems. And it's the same with wind and with solar. Solar more stable on a large scale, because you can actually have a good idea of what that power production pattern will look like throughout the day, especially in the Northern Cape. If you know it's not going to rain, you know from a certain time of the day to the end of the day, what that load profile will look like, and you can then adapt accordingly. It does give the people in Simmerpan at National Control lots of extra headaches. They didn't have to deal with things like this before. If they lost a unit, they would just get another unit to ramp up. So in most of our coal-fired power stations, they are built as what we call six packs. Kuwik Nuclear Power Station was built as a twin pack nuclear power station. Most of the nuclear power stations in France, for instance, they are all six packs. So we can build more nuclear power stations to stabilize the grid if we want to. We can build more coal-fired power stations. We have plenty coal in the country that's all leaving our country now to go to other countries that tell us we must get off coal. So that is the basic scenario. And I've explained in the live stream yesterday why Eskom got to the point where it is now. I laid it bare. You can go and watch that live stream if you missed out. Welcome to the over 300 people. It's interesting that in yesterday's live stream, we had so many people watching. And in tonight's live stream, we not at those numbers yet. I hope we get there. But I wonder if people want sensation more than they actually want solutions. And this will certainly be proof, if we don't get to the same amount of numbers, that people like drama more than they actually like solutions. And a lot of people ask in the comments, Desmond, but what do we do? What do we actually do? Not that it's my responsibility to tell you, okay? Because I can look after myself and my family. So it's not my responsibility to tell you what to do. I was not elected in this political system. I did not run for public office. I will never run for public office. I'm not interested in that. I like to educate people with information that's been passed on to me over many, many decades. And I will use that information now to give you this plan for Eskom, and I will lay it out on other platforms where you can go and look at it, distribute it if you want to. But I want this video to go viral. If it doesn't go viral, people aren't really interested, because this will stabilize Eskom. 100% certain. It's not rocket science. And I often say, when something is not rocket science, it is actually simple. A lot of people that like drama also like complex solutions. They like committees and they like all sorts of things. And you will see how I have circumnavigated all that nonsense. So, welcome to the 350 people watching now. Let me get started. If you've come in later, please go to the beginning of this video, catch up if you can at double speed, like some people do, and then catch up and then follow what I'm talking about. So this is the Eskom stabilization plan. And the first thing we need to do is increase efficiency. Number one, increase efficiency on the grid. At the moment, we are losing 6,000 megawatts. It's 6 stages of load shedding, or stage 6, just in inefficiency. The inefficiencies are mainly at the coal-fired power stations. And if you look at those inefficiencies, most of those, if you see why they are there, if you use good quality coal, it will offset that. Now, I want to make this statement. It's important for you to understand that Eskom decided to build their power stations and design them for a bad grade coal, but not rocks and clinkers and bricks and whatnot and gravel. So the power stations can handle quite a punch. But if we put high grade quality coal into those stations, the calorific value of that coal will be much higher. And because of that, our output on those stations will go up instantly. Instantly. So just through supplying good quality coal to all the Eskom power stations, we will immediately gain thousands of megawatts. Immediately. This can happen literally within a week. Okay, so it doesn't have to take forever. What I'm proposing now can be implemented within 2 months. Within 2 months, you can have this up and running and then continue with this until the stabilization phase is over, and you can then go into the execution phase of building more capacity, deciding how you want to distribute things on the grid. I'm not going into that tonight because those are decisions that currently government is making, and they are telling Eskom senior executives then what to do. So the rater can't just decide himself he wants to do X, Y, Z. But he has made a choice to champion everything that I disagree with. And the fact that he's done that makes him a problem. And if he doesn't change, he should definitely be replaced as fast as possible. So increase efficiency is point number one. Now, what does that mean at a pump storage scheme or at any other type of power station? You don't typically have efficiency problems. Okay. They would normally run at 100% power without any issues, and that is that. Efficiency problems you can have it at nuclear power stations, where, for instance, you might not have enough cooling water or less cooling water pumps, which would have to reduce the power the unit is running at. And at coal-fired power stations, if you, for instance, have bad quality coal, if the seawater temperature had to increase too much, you would lose efficiency literally on the amount of power that you put out at Kuwait Nuclear Power Station. This is normal efficiency losses, and Eskom actually accounts for that. The next thing that we need to do is to isolate and protect the best power stations. And a lot of people will say, no, we need to focus on the power stations that are problematic. This is bad intelligence. This is bad art of war. If any of you have read the book by Sun Tzu, I have been thinking that way since I was a young boy. You don't go and try and fix something that's already stuffed. You go and maintain the ones that you know are already okay. You don't want them to get worse. So what you do is you isolate and protect those best stations. Now, how do you do that? By isolate and protect, you go and you literally declare, and this is very important, a state of emergency within Eskom. Not in the country, heaven forbid. Please, we don't want the military and the police running around telling us what to do. Within Eskom, you declare a state of emergency. Eskom is in an emergency. The ANC government doesn't want to literally admit their failures, so they're never going to do that. Remember, the people that are in power now, they will never give up power. They got power through violence over a period of time. The previous government that they took over from also stayed in power through violence. So this is a long history within the country. And hopefully we can move to something new now where that is not the case. But we need to get the military and the police involved, or whoever the government has. Heaven forbid that the military should actually do something. But yeah, I'm giving you an opportunity now to station military personnel at the conveyor belts running to these power stations, at the coal yards, at the place where they're delivering the coal, at the mines that supply the coal to these stations. So you make sure that the best quality coal immediately goes to all the Eskom coal-fired power stations. You stop shutting down any power stations. You put Komati back online. We don't shut down anything. We run it for as long as we can, and then we maintain where we can. You have to do that. But these stations need to be isolated. They need to be looked after, and we need to make sure that we use either our military or our police or a combination of both to protect those stations. The people that come, they must see, flip, something is up. This place is being protected. I cannot take any chances. Ek gaan my gat sien. Something's going to happen to me if I try anything that is untowards. People need to be deterred. This is very important. Number 3, and this is probably the main theme for what we need to establish. So firstly, increase efficiency. And there's many things that you can do that falls in line with that with regards to the force draft fans, the mills, etc. Isolate and protect the best stations, those that are doing the best. Okay. The next is establish a hit squad. This hit squad is HITT. It's a high intensity task team. And what these people do is they need to be selected out of society, people that have worked in the power generation industry, that is not invested in the power station industry. In other words, these people have moved out of there, but they are highly knowledgeable. They can do root cause analysis. They can get to the bottom of a problem, and they need to be given powers by government to overcome any red tape they might find around the way. This hit squad, HITT, this hit squad literally needs to come together and plan, then go to the power stations one by one. These best power stations, the ones that are isolated, go to them first and go and meet with all the best staff. And that is where the next point comes in. Identify and protect key personnel within generation and distribution. So you need to identify who are the people that absolutely have to be there. The oaks that are there at night when the other people go home, those people, the oaks that keep the generators running. Identify who they are, quantify them, name them, and get this hit squad to meet with these people, the people that keep the station running, that puts the megawatts out on the grid. Not managers, not supervisors, none of these people. The oaks that do the actual work, unless that manager or supervisor is literally involved in the actual work of producing the electricity. Okay, so identify key personnel in generation and distribution, identify and protect them. Now, in the nuclear industry, this often happens where you identify the most important people, you protect them in various ways. You would, for instance, not allow those people to travel in lift clubs in case there's an accident. You can't have these people. Um, you can't lose them. If you lose them, you're in serious trouble because it takes decades or years to train someone like that with those very specific skills. And we've lost many of those people in the past. We have to plug that leak instantly. If there's problems with retaining those people, solve it somehow. The hit squad needs to be able to do that. Now, the Eskom management will say, but uh, if there's this hit squad operating while we doing our thing, this is not going to work. What I'm saying is this hit squad focuses just on those power stations in making sure that they stabilize. In other words, that you get the best out of them. The Eskom management can carry on dealing with everything else that they are busy with. A lot of it is policing, as Gwedimantashe said, a complete freaking waste of time. You won't see anything about corruption in what I'm talking about here, because that's not going to stabilize Eskom right now at all. People are focused on all the wrong things. This is all technical. The fifth thing that needs to happen is conduct open and closed forum meetings. You get the hit squad to conduct open and closed forum meetings with these key personnel, not with anyone else, with these people. Okay? And then you do root cause analysis on all the common mode failures. What are common mode failures? These are the things that typically happen at the power station to shut the unit down. And you can look at the past record. What are these common mode failures in that specific station and then across the coal-fired fleet? And then stabilize whatever it is, find out what is the best way to deal with it. Within this hit squad, you should already have people that have a good idea of how to solve the problems. After speaking to the people on the ground, you get their buy-in. And now these people report to the hit squad. They have a right to report to you. They have a right to whistleblow to the hit squad. And then the next thing that you do is you formulate a detailed action plan. This is point number 6, based on the findings from these interviews that you've had with the people in open and closed forums, and then you monitor the implementation. And this is all the hit squad that does this. You monitor the implementation of these findings after you've done this root cause analysis, okay? And I'll go into the detail a bit more of what that actually means. We've already been going for 20 minutes. Then lastly, weekly, the hit squad reports to the public and the media on the findings and the actions taken. We need the people in the country to know what's going on. And that hit squad needs to have people in there that the public already trusts above the Eskom executives, above the politicians. In other words, they literally need to be people that are industry experts. You can't take someone that is in the media now all the time and put them in this hit squad. Most of these people you would probably never seen in your life before, but these people will be real experts and they will get to the bottom of things. If you implement this, we can stabilize within 2 months. This is not rocket science. This is not difficult. This is simple common sense. I want to welcome the 428 people watching now. Thanks for joining me. If you haven't joined at the beginning, please go to the beginning of this video and watch the video. But please like this video so that more people can see it. We need this information to go viral. I'm giving you now what we need to do within Eskom to stabilize Eskom. Because the plans the government has now for the future is absolute hogwash, because they are telling you now that we might only come out of this by 2027, people, 5 years from now. Do you trust that? If we carry on with the status quo, where we have an ANC appointee as a CEO of Eskom, and we have other people that have to pander to international narratives at COP27, at Earth Summit meetings, and all sorts of other things, we are never going to look after this country and the electricity supply. That's the bottom line. I always say, look at the evidence of what these people are doing. Look at the evidence. The evidence tells you everything. Okay, so let's go back to this list and talk about the details. When you go to a power station and you meet with the people, you'll remember, some of you, when I spoke of Andre the writer actually visiting the power stations, I said this is a positive thing. He actually spoke to people on the ground. The problem is he doesn't understand the context of what they're telling him. So what you need is someone that knows that plant backwards. Typically, that would be someone that's operating in the maintenance departments, maybe in the chemistry departments, that actually understand what is going on. And what has happened since 1994 is the very important departments that actually hold the power at these power stations, run the power stations, their power has been diminished. And outside people have been brought in. Engineers have been brought in that don't have the technical know-how, that haven't run the units, that don't know the plant technically, to come and run the power station. This was the biggest mistake, and this has happened across the entire Eskom fleet. A huge mistake. You have to, like in the nuclear industry in the US, you will not see someone becoming a senior manager within a power station without them having received a license to operate the nuclear reactor. In other words, it's someone that's gone through the hard courses, have been through all the practical, they know how a fan works, how a pump works, they know all the system layouts on the station. They know what the problems are that come up from time to time. Those are the people that then moved into higher positions. This is how it worked within Eskom before 1994. The people from the departments or groups that were the vital staff that I said you need to isolate and protect, those are the people that occupied the key positions. That is not the case for the past more than a decade at all. And this is a problem. And many engineers will be furious with me for saying this. But just being a design engineer or whatever is not good enough to run a power station. You actually need to have technical knowledge of the processes, within that power station. If you want to keep megawatts on the grid, you have to have maintenance people. You have to have people in operating. You have to have people in chemistry at a nuclear power station in the radiation protection. Those are, and then obviously the safety departments, they're not as technical, but those are the key groups that see to the station running. How do you know who the most important staff is on a station? At night, when everyone goes home and the power is still on the grid, see who is in that power station at that time. Those are the people that are the most important and the people that maintain that plant. It's that simple. At night, go into the power station and see who is still there. Those are the people you cannot do without. Those are the people you protect and the people that you isolate. If you don't do that, and that hasn't been done for a long time, and you actually treat them like rubbish, you get what we have in Eskom right now. So I don't believe for 1 second that people will be interested, the senior executives within Eskom or within government will be interested in implementing this plan. But this plan will work like clockwork. I can guarantee it. It's not rocket science. And the people are there that can implement this easily. To put a heat squad together will take me probably a week. To put a proper heat squad together, it's not difficult. But for a president or for the cabinet to give that heat squad the needs that they have to bypass the red tape, to be able to procure something if they need to without going through BE companies or any twat like that, do you think that's going to happen? So at the end of the day, we have one thing left: change the governance system. It all comes back to that. But I hope someone listens to this and thinks, maybe we should implement this. You don't have to call it a hit squad. You can call it whatever you want. But it needs to be a high impact task team. Why? When they come in, they must have immediate effect. If you go in with people that have vast experience, they will know what questions to ask the oaks on the ground because they've been there. They will be able to very quickly find out what the undercurrent is at any power station, and they'll be able to resolve it. The heat squad should also be able to make recommendations to Eskom senior executives. I'm not saying that they should have a right to hire and fire, not at all. They should be separate to that, but they should be able to give feedback to the Eskom senior executives as well as to the public. The most important thing to me is that they report to the public. Do you think any president or minister will approve anything like this? Not a chance. If it happens, I will fall over backwards. I'll be very happy if it does, because we sorely need this. So I really want to thank you for watching this video. You know, it's such a simple thing. I will just quickly summarize. We need to increase the efficiency. We have lost 6,000 megawatts, or are losing 6,000 megawatts just because of efficiency losses. These are units that are running but aren't running at full power because of inefficiency at the coal-fired power stations. It has to be addressed immediately. You can immediately do that by sending the best quality coal to the coal-fired power stations. Government can fix that, chop chop. Second, isolate and protect the best stations, and you focus on those stations. You do that with the military and the police. You declare a state of emergency within Eskom, and you protect those assets immediately. Three, establish a hit squad, a high-intensity task team that can fulfill all the other points that I'm speaking of or facilitate those points. Those people can come from the industry, not politicians, not cadres or anything like that, not currently working within Eskom, unless the person that runs the heat squad pulls people out of Eskom. They should be able to use those people to be seconded at least for the duration of next year for this heat squad to do its work. Then identify the key personnel, identify and protect key personnel in generation and distribution. Why is this important? because these are the people you need to make sure you plug the hole that they don't leave. Keep them happy. Look after them. Tell them that you are important. And I don't care that the rest of the people get peeved because of this. We are way beyond licking people's backsides to keep them happy. That is not the state we're in right now. We are in serious trouble. So it's important. Identify and protect key personnel. How do you do that? You can go to a power station at night and see who is still there. And then you ask those people, who do you want here with you? Who is important to you? And you will know immediately. So immediately, that's going to be operations, maintenance, as well as chemistry, the people that keep the plants efficient. That is what you're going to need basically. And the best personnel there, you need to know who they are, identify them, and protect them. The next thing that you need to do is for this hit squad to conduct open and closed forum meetings with these key personnel that you've identified and do root cause analysis for common mode failures. Those are failures that commonly happen at that plant, and then you can see how this is happening across the other plants as well. If there's common mode failures, they can be addressed the same way, all in one go across these identified stations that are the best performing. And then you make sure that you don't lose units. You implement, the hit squad will implement anything required to get those units back to where they were. You'll be lucky to get a 30% out of a wind turbine. Lucky. So that's very important. Through those meetings, you're going to discover a lot. The people in the hit squad, so they will have to travel from station to station to station. And you work with the stations from the most important, best performing stations all the way down in that order. That's important. Then you need to formulate a detailed action plan based on the findings and monitor the implementation. This is again for this hit squad. And when you draw up this plan based on the root cause analysis you've done, in other words, the thing that's actually at the bottom of the problem, then you will realize, is this interfering politics? Is it bad management? Is it bad procurement practices? You must be able to overcome all of those things. You need to be able to make a recommendation then to Eskom executive and say, listen, this power station manager is not doing anyone any good. You need to get rid of the person right now. You can make that recommendation, but you don't take over. And then hopefully they will act. If they don't act, this hit squad reports to the public and the media every single week. Say it's at the end of the week on a Friday, they tell the public what is happening. You say, we made a recommendation that certain senior personnel at Tutuka or Matla needs to be replaced. Eskom's executives decided not to do it. Then you can at least know and hold them to account. Because only the public can do something to change this paradigm. That's why I'm doing what I'm doing right now. And once again, like I said, people like drama more. That's why we only have 458 people in the solution live stream. And it's a sad indictment on the people of the country. And hopefully we can still get a lot of people to watch us. Thanks to you that are watching, that have liked it. Please share this video. This plan will work. It's very simple. If this hit squad gives feedback to the public and to the media every week, they will know exactly what's going on within Eskom in real time. They can even draw up charts that people can understand to see progress and or setbacks for people to understand them. And if we don't do this and we carry on as we have been, we are going to get the same results. What are the results currently? Why do we need to do this? And this is important. Eskom is deteriorating because there are power stations that are old that have to be retired by 2030 or even sooner. There's many power stations that have to be shut down by 2025. They just shut down Komati. We could have still kept it running. Now, it's about generating megawatts. Instead, they will spend a fortune on diesel instead of running Komati. You could just have a shadow group of people there with a hit squad overseeing it to still run those generators for as long as possible. And you can build your solar plant there if you want to. You can have both. Why not? Keep Biden happy. But keep on running those stations. Give it good quality coal. Make it as efficient as possible for as long as possible. Then, once you've stabilized things, you can start looking at the rest of the fleet. You can start looking at corruption and everything else. But you know what? When you start implementing things like I'm speaking of now with the hit squad, it changes people. So many things will change because of such a simple thing. Now, a lot of people might think, but this could have never happened anywhere in the world before. Absolute nonsense. We have in the nuclear industry in many places where teams of people have been sent in, entire senior managements have been fired, nuclear reactors were shut down, everyone was retrained, and stations were shut down for a prolonged period of time and then started up again once everything has been resolved. Now, I'm not saying we should shut anything down, we need the power, but we can certainly send in a hit squad of people with ample experience that can handle something like this. There's many people that you might actually think could do that. Tell me in the comments below who you think you would want in this hit squad of people that you're aware of. Who would you want in a hit squad like this to go out and implement this plan? And what do you think about this plan that I've come up with for stabilizing Eskom? This is about stabilization. And stabilization is just mitigation. It doesn't mean you're solving the long term problem, not at all. But at the moment, we aren't stable. Eskom is not stable. We have to get it stable as fast as possible. So thanks to all of you that have liked this video. We have 394 likes. We have 450 people in the stream, so we can certainly get a lot higher than that. Please share this live stream with as many people as possible and ask questions. I will answer those questions in follow-up videos. For those of you that haven't watched any of the videos I've done on power generation, go to the playlist section on this channel. Find those videos on power generation, Eskom and Kuberg, and go and watch those. I give you a lot of detail on why load shedding is required, etc. So thank you for watching and thank you for spreading information. Please go and spread this information. Spread the information. The main reason why I did this now is to hold government and Eskom executives to account because we can stabilize things. They know that we can. Now, do they actually want to save and stabilize Eskom? Time will tell, and I always say, look at the facts. The evidence will tell you what people actually intend to do. Thank you very much for joining me. Have an awesome evening. And I also want to tell you that my wife and I started a channel called Stranger Than Fiction. You can go and watch what we cover there with regards to the rest of the world and the very stranger than fiction things that are happening. I've just given you a link. You can go and join us there and see what is happening in the rest of the world and see why the world's power supply, power generation is under attack, why many things are happening with this new order being created where everyone, according to Klaus Schwab, will own nothing and be happy. Thank you very much for joining me, everyone. Let me put out the link again, Stranger Than Fiction. Tomorrow night, my wife and I will be doing a waffle-a-thon where we will be talking twak until everyone passes out. We'll probably start at around 8 o'clock, bring some snacks with, and we'll just be talking. You will have to be subscribed to Stranger Than Fiction. You can ask us any questions. We can cover anything that you want to, and we can talk about Eskom. We can talk about fusion energy. I saw someone else talking about fusion energy. I want you to go and watch the ITER project, which is supposed to start live experiments by 2030. So fusion experiments of that nature is very close, and they will prove viability of a 500 megawatt fusion reactor. It's a huge project being undertaken in France, and people from around the world are involved in that project. And the ITER project is very unique. You would have seen during the COVID pandemic that project went ahead. It did not stop. I will give you a link now to the ITER website so that you can go and have a look. at what they are doing. It is absolutely fascinating. And to see how many countries that people say are fighting each other, there's a link, are working together to create this fusion reactor. And it's a massive undertaking, just like CERN, where you have the Large Hadron Collider or the LHC. This is the future. So all these wind turbines, all the solar panels will mean absolutely nothing when fusion energy becomes reality. Is not that far away now. Uh, People are making breakthroughs continuously. Once we have fusion energy, everything else will fall by the wayside. Thank you for joining me. Have an awesome evening. Good night.